International Human Rights Commission, and of course to you, Ambassador, because I think that this conversation is very much needed. We need to understand that this World Summit and speaking about human rights is a must during and of course after the pandemic. It is of great concern to see that democracy is suffering significant setbacks across the world. Just as an unprecedented health crisis has tested our governments and endurance of societies, the 2020 Democracy Index, published by the Economist Intelligence Unit, has shown the worst results ever since the index was first published in 2006. The scenes that we witnessed in the US Capitol earlier this year have made it clear democracy cannot be taken for granted. Moreover, while it is true that swift and decisive government action is needed in times of crisis, such as the one we are currently living through due to the pandemic, this should not lead to the institutionalization of authoritarian practices and the reversal of hard-earned progress towards democracy, only attained after much struggle and sacrifice in many countries. And this is why parliaments are vital, because it is not only about how to address the health crisis or the economic recovery, or of course, the climate change. It is also about how we would like to have democracy and human rights now and after the pandemic. Parliaments are tasked with the oversight of the exercise of government authority and with representing the interests voiced by their constituents. As such, it is up to parliaments to challenge any abuse that could bring harm on citizens and maintain democracies alive. I am certain that if parliamentarians uphold their responsibilities, democracy will not falter. It will only grow stronger and prosper even more. This summit is a momentous occasion to underline that the nature of democracy enables the defense of human rights, an element that is needed to foster inclusion and representation in our communities. And this is a strong reason to advocate for. Now I have another hat. I am not only the honorary president of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, I was just elected a couple of weeks ago as the co-chair of the steering committee of Universal Health Coverage 2030, UHC 2030. And this is, I think, also a very important responsibility in a very important time. When we talk about the pandemic, and I think that a year ago we were hoping for the year to understand the lessons of the pandemic. We thought a year ago that we were appreciating how the skies were blue and how we were seeing fishes in Italy or animals in the British parks. But now I think, and I would like to question if the world has really understood the lessons of the pandemic. Are we really practicing solidarity? Are we really committed to human rights? I must say that I don't think so. I am not sure that the humanity has learned the lessons because, for example, if we see how vaccines are distributed in the world, well, honestly, the vaccines are being distributed only in very few countries. That's not a world project. That's not a public good that we were talking perhaps about 8 months ago. And I think that here we need to understand that the bottom line is political will. We need political will when it comes to rebuilding trust. We need political will when it comes to achieve universal health coverage. We need political will when it comes to strengthen democracy and respect human rights. And we're supposed to be celebrating a lot of very important moments for humanity. And one is that we are still celebrating the 25th anniversary of the United Nations. And what we should be learning are those same reasons, those same circumstances that made UN possible 75 years ago. And it was to understand that the world needs multilateral answers, The world needs multilateral cooperation, that we need solidarity. We need to be organized at the world level in order to change the local challenges and to bring people the solutions that are very much needed. So now, as my biggest responsibility is precisely to be advocating for universal health coverage, I would like to use this opportunity to remind all of us that health is a human right, and that if we do not work hard enough, by 2030, 5 billion people are not going to have basic access to health. So this is a moment where, as a parliamentarian myself, but also as a politician for a very long time, I think that what we need is political will, is passion for change, is passion to make this world a better one. And we need to learn the lessons from the pandemic. We need to understand, my case as a parliamentarian, that we need a better legislation, that we need to allocate budget, that we need to work with the government, but at the same time to make the governments accountable when it comes to all these different crises that we're living. Again, health, economic recovery, climate change. Of course, we need a feminist and sustainable recovery. There's a lot of things that we need to do, but I think that the first step is to understand that we need a democratic recovery and that we need to put first and always human rights as the basic responsibility for a parliamentarian, not only for ourselves, but for those who are living in a constitutional regime or in a democratic country. We understand how difficult, how hard it was to fight for human rights. This is the moment where humanity is having a lot of important crises. And I am not sure that we are able to speak about them openly, that we are able to question those regimes, those governments that are continuously violating human rights. Again, we are having a very important and complicated moment for humanity. I am sure that we can build back better, as the UN Secretary General has said many, many times, that we can fight climate change, that we can make vaccines a real public good for all humanity, but we need political will. And I really hope that this summit will change a lot of hearts and make us collaborate better and closer. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for this invitation.